Hey Ben, huh? I think you're still muted.
I was saying that welcome back. Uh, and I was going to say that nice curtains in your window.
Yeah, not the first time I've done that, is it? Yeah.
I just saw your message, the message about national holiday in the US. So
Mm.
probably today will be just you and me. So let's see
Yeah.
what else joins. How was your day? Return. I mean, you only was out for 10 days or a week, right? So it's not too
Mm.
much time. Yeah,
Yeah. Spent most of today just catching up.
great.
Um, yeah. Watching the all hands.
Interesting. I mean, I will speak about that in our one-to-one if
Mm.
it's okay for you.
Yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, yeah, I will speak in the one-to-one. So yeah. Uh,
Excuse me. Um,
did you make your reservation for the open source summit? Not yet.
no, I have not managed to do that today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Um, I will send you the card details first thing tomorrow so you can get that done. Um, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Hey, Greg. Good morning.
Hey,
Morning.
how are you?
All right.
Good.
We were talking about that today is national holiday in the US, so we are not expecting too much people in the meeting.
Yeah.
Let's wait a couple minutes to see if someone else join, and if not, we can discuss what to do.
While we wait, yesterday I posted quite a bit onto GitHub. um, Now that the spec is in Markdown, I find it a bit nicer to edit. So I've been going through our backlog of things and seeing what things can be added. I'm actually starting at the back of the issues queue and just kind of going from past to present, seeing if there's stuff that can be put in or still needs discussion. Most of it still needs discussion, but there's some interesting stuff in there.
And Ben, one question: did you have the chance to speak with someone from legal, both in the OpenJS or in your company about the licensing conversation? This so is it still ongoing that discussion, or do you have more insights about that?
Yeah, I spoke to someone in legal at Postman. They're not concerned at this point, and agreed to opt to see where things go and see if there's any challenges or anything else gets raised. But at the moment, they're not greatly concerned. Um,
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 5 minutes past the starting time of the meeting, so it's up to us. We can proceed with the agenda or wait or just skip these weeks for having more people in the conversation. So I leave you up to you both. I can share my screen and show what we have in the agenda to see if we can have some appetite about that. Today's agenda contains 2 items. First one is this isn't about the format, including the format registry as a second concern of JSON schema. This was an item I added by Ben 2 weeks ago, but in the last meeting was just Julian and Juan, so they didn't pick it up, this topic, so I just included it in the agenda for this week. And the second item is start again using the project board to work in the scope of the stable release. And for this one, probably it will be better if Jason is here, but as I said, up to us. So this is what we have. Do we have enough to discuss these 2 topics with 3 of us?
I think we can discuss the format registry a little bit at least.
Yeah, that was my thought as well.
Okay, sounds great for me. So let's proceed. So before kicking off the discussion, I would like to first make my fonts a little bit bigger and start with the meeting accessibility message. We would like to record the meeting to share it with the community and upload it to YouTube. If someone in the meeting is against sharing this in YouTube publicly, just reach out privately to me and I take care of not uploading this one to YouTube. And we encourage everyone to challenge any language or behavior that is harmful, not inclusive, or against our code of conduct. We'll try to stay on mute when someone is speaking and use the Zoom reactions to ask for a turn to speak. And with any further ado, let's go with today's agenda. As always, let's review what we have in the previous call. As I just said, in the previous call was just Julian and Juan sharing some updates about the work of each one. So there was no action items, so nothing to track. And as I said before, Ben included this comment to have a conversation about including format registry as a secondary concern of JSON schema. And is the item that we are going to pick for today. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I leave you, Ben, or you, Greg, to kick off the discussion about format registry. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just to recap, this was a comment left by Karen on the charter work, suggesting that format registry be a secondary concern as opposed to a primary concern. Not that it was a primary concern, but that it be listed as a secondary concern of the JSON schema project, particularly in relation to what exists for OpenAPI at the moment, whether we would take that on or publish something similar. It's likely if we did look to do something around that area that we would take on the existing format registry that OpenAPI created. And I don't really have many opinions about this. I kind of don't greatly care about format, so I'm not sure I have opinions on this. So I really wanted to gather some feedback from others on this. So open it to Greg.
So a couple things on this. The first is that this conversation actually started in the OpenAPI Slack. Someone was talking about I can find the conversation and probably link it into the GitHub discussion later. But someone was talking about what's the process for adding something to the format registry, or who owns the format registry or something like that. And Karen, I think maybe even Henry and I were all part of that conversation. And it came up that there was discussion that JSON Schema, there was previous discussion that JSON Schema could own that. And at the time when 3.1 was being negotiated, and 2012 for JSON Schema was being negotiated and everything, it was decided that OpenAPI would hold on to that registry, because they are OpenAPI specific formats. This newer conversation seemed to, the participants seem to hold to the idea of JSON Schema holding on to it again. I don't know the history of the previous conversation, why we decided not to do it before. Maybe it was an association with IETF and all the ceremony that has to go into doing that. I understand that there's from JSON Path, with JSON Path is going to have a function registry. And I understand from that process that it's a significant process to have that with IETF. But if we're self-publishing, it may not be as much of an ordeal. So I think the consensus for those who participated in that conversation so far is that the format registry that OpenAPI has should be transferred to JSON Schema. I don't think that, I think Daryl mentioned that OpenAPI doesn't really have much interest in holding on to that and managing it. So I think it'd be a good idea for us to pull that in. What that looks like, I think, still needs to be determined. Probably have some web page adjacent to the specification. I don't think it should be in the specification at all. But that's where I think that thing sits right now. I don't know that I've heard anything from Jason or Julian on this topic. So probably still wait for them. But for right now, I know Karen and I both think that it should be brought in. Regarding format specifically, I know we have one of our complete the new version of the spec type issues somewhere that lists that format generally is a unliked keyword, and it's possible that it may be deprecated in the future sometime, at which point I expect that that registry would probably be deprecated as well. Of course, it would be, we wouldn't do that until we have something to replace it. But for right now, we have it. And it needs to continue to support what people are using it for.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sorry, go on.
I said that's all from me.
Oh. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the concept. And I'm slightly concerned with the administrative and overhead. But it doesn't look like there's lots of activity on it anyway, so it's probably rather minor. Like there's probably more work involved in transferring the thing over and setting it up to be published on a web page than there is in actually maintaining it and having it updated. Who are the individuals or groups that are using this? Do we know who's added to it so far?
I think I asked that question in their Slack. I need to find that conversation though. It's been, I think, a couple weeks right now. So I need to go back and find that conversation. I did ask that question about has anybody added to it? I think that there is one group or person or organization or something that has added a few things. But I think that's it so far. I could see with it moving over to JSON Schema officially that there will be a wider user base, and so we may see an influx of registration requests come in when we move it, like after we're done moving it over and everything. So we may be initially busy with it, but it'll stabilize to basically 0.
I guess my only other thought is, I assume that I'll try again. The Open API project has a number of registries. Am I correct in thinking this is the only registry they would potentially want to hand over to us? I mean, I don't think any of the other registries would probably make sense to hand over to us, but I'm just curious.
This is the only one in the conversation.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, if people are actively wanting this and I think there's benefit to it, then I'm certainly not going to block it. And a secondary concern, and the charter just kind of allows for people to work on it almost, or allows for it to be a priority. That was my thinking behind the secondary concerns. Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, to provide a different perspective about the opportunities about bringing the registry with us, I think that I see 2 benefits. First, it can provide us some different projects to get involved more people. That if we will need to dedicate some time for this, it's an opportunity to get more contributors to do different things. So I see opportunity to expand the opportunities of contributing to the initiative and the project. And second, different perspective as well. It can be relevant, something interesting to share with the industry and different communities that we are taking the step of moving forward with the university. So I see it's going to be relevant content in social media. And if one of our interests is bringing awareness or have the companies and other communities and projects speaking about JSON schema, this can be an interesting event for having them speaking about. So yeah, for me, sounds great on those perspectives.
Do they have any? Sorry, go on.
Another thing that we need to be careful about and be clear about is what warrants registration of a new format versus what warrants defining a new format in a vocabulary. I think that was the initial intent with when vocabularies came on board, is people could define their own formats, because we defined format as this open keyword that's not validated other than it's a string. As such, other vocabularies could define new formats, which Open API's vocabulary has done. And I don't know if they've added their keywords to the registry that they're holding on to, or not the keywords, but their formats. I don't know if they've added those to the registry or not, but it seems to me like you should have in the registry like only official JSON schema register formats, or and then you can have separate formats and vocabularies. Either that or everything goes in the registry and you identify in the registry what vocabulary it's in. I'm not sure. Those are details that we need to work out, but yeah, it's just a thought that popped into my head.
Yeah, my only other thought was, do they have a documented process for what they accept and what they don't accept? Because you could have some random person coming in and go, I want blob to mean X, Y, Z, and you could be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. They're like,
Right.
oh, it does. It's defined in some random blog post over here. Like, is there some sort of criteria on what's accepted or rejected?
Yeah, I don't know if such a process exists, but I imagine we would inherit that as well. Or we could inherit it, or we could redefine it. That would, I suppose, be left up to us.
If that's the case about having the people to decide or having us to explain when to use registry or vocabulary, it can be also an opportunity to increase the adoption of vocabularies, right? So yeah.
Yeah, sounds like
I'm seeing today the glass half full instead of half empty. So yeah, benefits.
Yeah, definitely it's useful.
I think if people have both options of registering a format or putting it in the vocabulary, putting it in a vocabulary, I think that gives us a little bit more leeway to be more strict on what makes it into the registry. To say, hey, this format may be useful to you, but it's not going to be useful for the wider JSON schema user base. Our recommendation is you put it in a vocabulary and then use that vocabulary instead. And then anybody who you interact with would need to understand that vocabulary. I think that having both options gives us that opportunity to be more strict in that regard. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Do we have a discussion or issue opened in a repo about this topic, or is just a Slack conversation and what we are discussing today? Because I mean,
right now it's just been Slack.
Yeah. Maybe we can open an issue to. This is not going to be a quick decision, right? So we can have an open issue and get more people involved or having more opinions. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, at the moment, I think it's just a preliminary discussion to consider, is this even a thing that we should think of as in scope for the project? And it feels like the answer is yes. I just want to make sure nobody thinks the answer is no. I think that's unlikely, and
okay.
But yeah, I just want to give people the opportunity to comment on that, because it is a scope change in the charter that people have largely reviewed and would consider probably complete at this point.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
I think that works as a good pivot. What's the status of our charter?
That is also a very good question. I haven't looked at it today. I think I was hoping that in the 2 weeks that I was away that Austin might have replied to your comments, and thank you for that, Greg. Unfortunately, he hasn't. I think I suggested that I would leave a comment. However, I think you've done, Adam, very well in responding there. So I need to have a look and see if there's any additional points I wanted to make. But this point, I'm kind of torn. Like, do we wait for him to respond, or we don't even know if he will respond any further, or do we just go, well, the majority of the proposed TSC feel this is okay? I think there was.
It has a high risk of alienating Austin, though.
Yeah,
I really don't want to do that.
No. I've asked him a couple of times directly, like, do you feel you want to be part of this project and the TSC? Like, do you still want to be part of the TSC, even if we're not necessarily agreeing on stuff? I would like you to be part of the TSC. Please can you indicate if you would like to be part of the TSC? And I can't get a straight answer, which is a little bit frustrating. So it still feels very much like he doesn't want to acknowledge that there is a governing body of the project that wants to take it in a particular direction that he doesn't want it to go in.
Yeah.
This charter's been out for a long time. How long is it reasonable to come back after something has been out for review and go, I don't agree with that direction?
Yeah, I don't know.
And we totally don't want to alienate Austin, and he's made massively valuable contributions. But how long do you wait? What's the reasonable period of time? There's some ongoing discussion that we might get some further advice on this, which I'm following up on, but that may not be a super speedy process. We'll see. So yeah, we may get some additional consultation advice on this specific challenge and licensing issues.
Yep. All right.
Okay. So going back to the formal registry stuff. So what we agreed, if we agreed something, is let's get everyone's opinions to see if we are going to make this a secondary priority. And if we get a consensus or feedback, after that, we will start deciding what are the next steps on that topic, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just want to make sure no one disagrees. I don't think we need to do anything more than that at this point. If there are no disagreements, I'll add that into the charter PR, but we certainly don't need to take any actions as a result of that at this time. People may if they like, but again, the secondary priority means it's something people can pick up if they like, and ideally we focus on the primary priorities as much as possible.
Okay, great. I'll to gather the feedback of everyone, I'm going to express this in the issue of this Open Community Wiki meeting, and also in the TSD channel, if that's okay. To make sure that everyone has the chance to provide feedback.
Thank you.
Okay, The other topic of the agenda is go back to the scope of the stable release discussion, but as Greg said, maybe it's something that we can discuss next week when we have more people in the meeting. And if
I
you
can
are
provide an update. I
Okay.
did quite a bit on it yesterday. So we've had a few discussions and some issues open. Like we want the dollar schema to be required in schemas, or at least strongly suggested to include that in the schema. So I've made a PR for that. The big long discussion that Jason, Julian, and various others and I have had on locatable IRIs and how to reference, or what it means to reference a document and what's required of implementations and all that nonsense. That has a new PR based on the small tweaks that have been proposed. I did message Jason with something that's not in the PR, but I haven't heard anything back. I expect probably tomorrow I'll hear back from that when he's not having a day off. There were two PRs that had been approved but not merged before the Markdown conversion, so I recreated those in Markdown. Jason's commented on one of them and approved the other one. I'm just waiting on, they were approved in the previous as well, in the XML. But those have been recreated. And then I've got another one that I've just has some Markdown artifacts that I found while editing the spec. And then I also have one for extracting the output into its own spec, which is something we had discussed probably about a year ago. And Jason's commented on that, but he hasn't like really looked into it. Yeah.
Nice.
So I did the output spec one. I did a couple. I think last week or maybe a couple weeks ago. It says last week. So that one I did last week, and all of those others I did yesterday. So I've been busy.
Yeah, definitely. Nice work.
Yeah.
It's nice to have it in Markdown.
The third time that you say it, so you suffered a lot with XML in the past.
God,
It
I
seems,
hated
right?
it. Not only did we have the XML, but we also had an 80 character width requirement and 4 space tabs. So by the time you got down to, I don't know, a 1.2.3 level section, you only had about 40 characters of width to use for paragraph writing. It was so bad.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've delved in there. That's just, yeah, not fun.
I would like to see Karen and Austin, maybe even Julian, get involved with the spec writing a bit more. It seems like it should be more than just me and Jason. It's actually just me right now. Jason's very, hang on. Give me a second.
Something that as to talk about something while Greg is speaking on the phone. I can provide later an update about what is the current status of the website, because we discussed about launching in September, so I can share where we are and what is pending. So, yeah, it's not going to take like more than 5 minutes. Hey, Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying it'd be nice to get some more people actually editing the spec.
Yeah, totally agree.
Jason's been busy organizing discussions, but I think now we are to a point where we can start making edits on the spec, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, if we have both of you in the next open community meeting, I think that we can create like a priority in the board to visualize what is pending and see we can make it easier for. I mean, it's not going to be magical, but we can like reduce friction in the process to see if someone wants to start. Yeah, maybe Julian will be easier, and will be amazing if Karen or Austin, of course. But having all the pending work or some items visible and ready for someone to pick them up definitely will help, my opinion.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty much used to just kind of going through the issues. This is what we've done for the past 8 years. Issues tend to get lost, though.
I mean, we can certainly start picking random issues to add to these sessions to get people, thinking and working on them and trying to move them forward. We don't really have a triage process. I know we talked about having one before, but we haven't done any work on that.
And I think we also decided just to start from scratch. So we have a lot of issues there, and if we know that some of them are great and ready to be included. So maybe we should start like labeling those, or making sure that we can differentiate the ones that are great to the ones that are pending to be triaged or pending to be discarded, or move it to experimental releases or something alternative, right? Yeah, something to discuss next week.
I'm adding everything to that board.
I mean, if we put like 200 issues in the board, maybe the board is not going to be useful, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the vision for the board? Are we putting pull requests in there too, or just issues?
I think that it's only possible to put issues, but we can have an issue linked to a pull request, and
it's possible to put PRs. They're in there.
I never did it, but it's possible. Great. So the thing is, this is for us. So if it's useful to, we will do what is useful for us. So if it's not useful to use the board, we shouldn't use it. So let's see how it goes. And if it's not adding value, we can have a different way, or go back to just work with issues, and that's it. But we just have one initial discussion, and we don't have the chance to fully test it.
Yeah, I think it may have been expressed previously that the desire is to have issues in the board, and then the PRs maybe not. But I think some of these PRs that I've created don't have issues with them, or have discussions with them. I don't know. We can create a process if we want.
I'll check if it's possible to add PRs, because if this is going to make our life easier, so I'll make some research and let everyone know. Any other comment regarding the spec discussion? Cool. And last thing that is not in the agenda, when you was having your conversation on the phone, I just suggested to provide to share a quick update about where we are with the new website, because we have been discussing about launching it in September. So I was most August on vacation, but I have been working with Ronnie, and the past week was my priority. So I can just use a couple of minutes to share where we are, what is pending, and make sure that it's feasible to launch in the beginning of, I mean, we are already in the beginning of September, but I'm optimistic about making that happen. So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay. Ben, I've actually got to take off and take care of something for my wife. That was what the call was about. So Ben, show it to Ben, and I trust everybody.
Okay. Have a good day,
Greg.
Greg. Thank you. It was
Thanks.
great to see you. Very, very quickly, where we are. So considering that was just Ronnie and me working in the website, and I was working with her asynchronously, we decided to use a Trello board. I know that is not GitHub, but I mean, we just used something tactical to close the development as soon as possible. Definitely, moving forward, this will be a repo with issues, something that everybody can get involved in. But just to make this end as soon as possible, we used this. So what we have right now in the pending to be done, just those 5 tasks, 3 items that need to be solved, and I'm going to share it what it is, and 2 bugs that I found in the last release. During my vacation, there was a couple of build issues in Cloudflare, so Ronnie wasn't able to see the result of the developments. And the first thing that I did past week with her is get that solved. So we have clean builds right now. And what is pending is, okay, in the docs section, this is the new view of the docs. And we have some scenarios when these menus are not working properly. So for example, I clicked on a specification, and a specification is this one. So the expectation is those menus collapsed and this one opened, highlighting what is the current section. So this is not working perfectly right now. So we have to clean and find what is the problem navigating in the top menu, because when we are navigating here, this is working perfectly. So, and I do like what we have. So this is one of the things. Second, we have some problems with the alignment of these 2 logos here. So we couldn't find a way to make them appear center properly here. So this is a small thing, but still pending. And something that is pending too is the scrolling. So we need, when we navigate from one page to another, for any reason, the scrolling is not starting in the beginning of the page. That it's a little bit weird. So this is the 3 things that are work in progress. And the 2 last items. First, we are showing here the upcoming events, and we are missing, we are only showing the recurrent ones, but we are not showing the ones that are just one single event. I know what is the reason, because we are using a logic that is prioritizing the, I mean, we need to get it fixed. It's simple, but for example, as you can see here, this is not showing the office hours. So I realized about that. I know what is the reason, and I not just need Ronnie to have some time to get that fixed. And secondly, one small improvement for mobile version. So when we have, when you are using your mobile instead of vertical landscape, I realized that this is the thing. So this meetings item is showing in the left side, right? But I think that's going to be better if we put it center in this layout. When you are putting your mobile vertical, is okay because it's just one single column. But as I said, in portrait, I'm suggesting Ronnie to put this center. So instead of left alignment, center, and that's all. As soon as we have this ready, the only thing pending is make a new review of the content and make sure that all the changes that we have in the live site, in the old website, are available in the new website. And probably try to have a freeze of content for 1 week or some days to make sure that we don't have, or no, we can do it without the freeze and just make a second step. If we have some pull requests in the middle, I can just replicate the content, and that's all. More updates to come next week. So I need to see what we can have done this week with Ronnie. I didn't have the chance to speak with her yet. So this is the current status. But I'm very optimistic about where we are. And something that is, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. And last, Akanksha, that was one of the students applying for Google Summer of Code. She wasn't selected, but she is working really hard with improving the docs. So we have an issue with the vision for evolving our docs, and Akanksha is working item by item, release by release, doing improvements in the docs. And as soon as we launch the new website, all those improvements are going to be merged also. So yeah, excited about what feedback we can get and how the new experience improve or reduce the friction in our users. Yeah.
Nice.
That's it. Nothing else from my side. I don't know, Ben, if you want to add something.
Yeah, I was just having a little look for the scrolling issue, because that's really weird, and I wondered if it was linked to the fact that the adverts weren't updating on page change, so that the carbon ad was staying the same, it wasn't changing. I wonder if this is due to the site being ran as a single page application rather than server-side rendered. I could be wrong, or somebody else said it might be to do with the Nux version, and a minor version update fixes it. Sorry, not Nux, Next, sorry. I don't know a lot of the details with Next.js. I haven't worked with it. But there's definitely something odd about that.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know about the implications of running as a single page, but I don't know also if Ronnie did some research about what the reason might be. So as soon as I have the opportunity to speak with her, probably something that we will take a look and see if that's the solution. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know. I'm just guessing, but it, yeah, piqued my curiosity.
Yeah,
It's an odd one.
but Cloudflare is doing weird things, so it's something that we needed to fix because of those builds that was working perfectly in other environments for Ronnie, but we needed to make some weird changes in the code to make that working. So let's see. Yeah, and as soon as I have visibility of the real end of or fixed date of those issues, I'll start focus 100% in the release because I mean, as soon as we have that out, it's a huge milestone.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for your work on that.
My pleasure. So I'm excited about that. And I mean, it's something that I was involved at the beginning, and it's like coding something, right, or doing an app or a project is like a baby going out, And I'm excited to start getting feedback from the community and having more chances to have more people involved, like Akansa with the docs. So yeah, excited about that.
The only other thing I noticed is the favicon. If we have a new logo, we need a new favicon as well to go with that.
But is that okay or it's not?
I guess so. Like I think that was one of the questions somebody asked recently. I can't remember who or when.
Yeah.
Are we having a new logo now?
It's just a color. It's not too much. We are.
But the font is different as well, right? It's not the same, or it's not the same graphic. It is a complete new graphic. Is my understanding.
If you can share the conversation again, I'll take a look because I check with the designer as well because I mean the logo is the logo. I don't know if JSON Schema font was part of our identity. So if that's the case, I mean if we have an impact there, we can make some changes before launching to go back or not. I don't know if it's okay for us proceeding with the new identity, but yeah, definitely I'll check.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And okay, Ben, let's keep discussing and see you tomorrow or on Slack or in GitHub. Take care.
Definitely.
Have some rest. Bye.
Good night.